Welcome to Exploring Curiosities with the Unbridled Woman, the podcast where curiosity knows no bounds. I have a very vibrant guest here today with me, all the way from Spain. And that's what I love about holding this platform. I get to meet people from all around the world, and it's amazing just having connections. And as much as we want to say about technology, sometimes like technology used in this way is so beautiful and beneficial for humanity, in my point of view. So I would love for everyone to welcome my guest, Meg Rouje. She is fascinated by the brain and how we communicate in love with colors and creative energies that change the world, and possessed by the free spirit of the adventurer who travels the world in search of the meaning of life. She dedicates her time exploring the realms of colors, subconscious, perception, and creativity. Meg is a certified color consultant, a brand expression alchemist, and a photographer. She translates concepts and emotions into metaphors, colors, and stories to actively support humane brands that advocate for mental health and well-being, to express their true essence and expand their impact for good, to make the world a happier and healthier place. When she's not working, she is reading her nerdy books or historical novels, soaking up the Spanish sun, walking and cuddling her adorable cat, Ria. Oh, welcome, my beautiful, beautiful sister in Spain. Thank you for taking this time to connect here and share your story and what you are offering to this world, because I find it fascinating, and I know I'm not going to be the only one.
Thank you. First of all, I have to say I'm very, very excited because I think you're going to have, one of those amazing conversations. So thank you very, very much. And yes, it's a whole word, a fascinating word, what that I discovered many, many years ago. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful for what I do and for being here and being able to talking about it. So.
Lovely. So what I ask my guests this all the time, the word unbridled. When you think about that word, what does come up for you?
It's interesting because maybe I should give a context first. I'm a synesthete, which is very helpful in my work, which means that I can see colors or images when I have words or sensations. So like I'm very visual and have all of these colors. And the unbridled really it's a weird sensation. I can't really explain it, but it's like not like a big waterfall. It's like a small waterfall and coming down, and it's more like, getting like spreading through space as it comes down and like kind of taking the space around. It's this kind of force. It feels like this force that releases and really travels through space and refresh all the surrounding. It's a weird sensation. I can't really describe it, but that's what it feels like to me and what counts for me. So.
Oh my goodness. Like I literally, if you could see, I have goosebumps. Like they're still here because I see it also. Like this is that first time anybody's ever explained that word as force. And I don't look at it as forcing, like a pressure, but my background in spirituality, I think of like the force of like a spiritual force, just like this. Yeah. Connecting, like that, you said, like just that opening up into you brought everything out from like a 3D world here and just brought everything up into this, almost this cosmos of freedom and expansiveness. So I saw it. I saw that.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely curious. Like, I have, photographer friends, and I understand, I can understand the creativity that goes behind that, the visioning and seeing, but like, and you just said that yourself, like, have you always been really be able to see like, the colors as energy, or was it something that just came a while ago?
Yeah, it's something like, as a synesthete we don't realize that we have this gift or superpower, or however it's neurodivergence kind of thing, apparently. So it's just the normal way we feel things, and that's been normal for me for my entire life. And then until I discovered that it was actually a thing, and then I was talking about, I think I was having this conversation with a friend, and I was like, oh, it would be cool to eat something and see colors, because that's a gustatory synesthesia, which I don't have. Can feel it, but it's not direct. I have to kind of be immersed in the sensation. And I was kind of, let's say, complaining, quote unquote, that I only have this with people, and I can see people in colors, and she looked at me like, what? And so that's when I realized that it wasn't like a normal thing. It was like very personal. And then I realized as I really started to explore it, because when something is just the norm for you, you don't even pay attention to it, right? It's just subconscious, it's just automatic. And once I realized that it was something different, I really started to explore it. And I realized that it really is a lot of, especially with colors. So the energy of people, the personality of people, it can be also with words and numbers, for example, it's called grapheme. And also like just feeling things. And I feel concept, ideas as like, to me, they just are colors, like nuances of colors. It's very strange and very difficult to explain because it's really particular.
Right.
Yeah, so it's always been there, but I became aware that it was there only when I was 20 something. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so the older you got, the I guess I'm hearing just the more appreciation you had for this gift, because now you realized not everybody has this.
Yeah, and it helps me a lot in my work because it really helps me convey what, like this translation between the person, the essence of the person, what the energy and the values and the message they want to convey to the world, and just translating into the colors and the metaphors and the stories and the images and all of these sensations that we create for the brand. So
yeah. Do you find that you actually see more than the person you're working with even knows about themselves? Meaning, know what I mean by that? Like, when you're like, oh, this is what I see of you. And like, is it kind of like, oh yeah, I've never seen that or heard that about myself? Or is like, oh yes, I've been trying to explain it, but no one else has gotten that yet.
It's more like, so what I've been told from people that I managed to translate their inner word into, something more tangible.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've been told is like, you were able to got something out of my head that I knew was there. And I had that feeling, but I didn't know how to translate it into images, into a brand, into stories, into something visual, into something that people can also see. And so it's always this capacity, let's say, to see the person. And sometimes they also see themselves. Like I work with people that are quite aware of themselves because I work a lot in health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
They usually they've done quite a beautiful inner journey. So they know themselves very well. And like my skill, if you want, my gift or my skill, whatever you want to call it, is to really take that and that essence with the vision that I have. So it's really translating that into a vision that people can actually see. So that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
I trust them.
No, I can definitely resonate just in my own personal journey of, entrepreneur things, and like having I know I have this is what I am offering, but I'm not quite sure how to really get that message in a brand, that, and like you said, that people can see and feel. Right. There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of magic in being able to do that.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a lot of fun because it's really getting into, the colors, and because the problem, for example, with colors, which is, something that's one of my biggest passions and I love it. And, it's my whole world. And people really have a hard time finding the right colors. They just go back and forth and they change the colors. They're never sure what colors will represent their brand, right? And something that we used to do and learn and see is to choose colors based on their meaning. So everybody will be like, oh, blue is for trust and, things like that.
Right.
But the colors have such a strong impact on our psyche, the subconscious brain. So we can't just choose colors based on how we think and the meaning they might have. It's really about how they feel like. Like it's really a very deep, energetic frequency, if you want. And it also, change the perception, the other senses. So it's really exploring in depth how we convey the values that we have, but also the personality. Like if you're very vibrant or very excited, if you're like, I work with archetypes. So archetypes usually they're very, very useful to define better a bit the personality. So we have a clear direction, and then from there we can mix and match. And so we have very unique colors, very unique palettes, very unique images. That's really unique to the person. It's not just blue because it's trust, and really like
yes,
feelings.
yeah.
And so really getting those feelings to express and to be felt on a much deeper level, and also in an energetic level, because energy is everything, right? So
yes, yeah, that's what attracts people to each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I'm hearing is, and I've done this too. I've changed different, from like, oh, I gone from like, oh, I like these colors. And then I'd have like a business coach, like, same like you said, no, that color means this. So you need to have this. But I'm like, that doesn't really resonate with me, but okay. I want to like follow the thing. Right. And I always ended up changing back to what I felt comfortable with. And so, what I'm hearing is if someone, when they work with you, they're really going and like, it's definitely personal. Right. And it's not something that, like I was just saying, I would change every once in a while. It's almost not that it's permanent, because I think, you can tell me maybe this is wrong, but we're always changing and evolving. So yeah, let's talk about that. So does their colors, their energy as they're growing themselves, would that change? Or is it something that's just very innate and stays with the person?
That's actually a great question. So thank you for that. I do get it sometimes. So the idea of the brand is really to create an experience and really that conveying a vision and a message that it's holistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we really want to, you have the messaging, you have your niche, you have the offers, and these are like the small pieces of the puzzle that will change through time as you evolve, right? As a person, usually the colors, depending on which direction we take, they don't change that much, because it's really about especially when it's a personal brand, of course, it's really about the feelings and the sensation that the brand is creating and that people are immersed in. So usually they don't really change unless the brand really completely change direction. They create something different. They create another completely different product or service or whatever. So yes, they can change. That's obvious. It happens. But most of the time they keep those colors. Maybe we change a bit the proportions, the associations, because like the quantity of the colors and how you associate them can make a huge difference on how they're perceived. So it's not just the color itself, it's how we associate them, how we put them together, the quantity, the layouts. There's so many elements coming together. Sometimes my clients will be like, oh, I feel like I'm evolving and I want to be more, I don't know, less playful and a bit more professional because I want to target a different niche and charge more, something like that.
Right.
So instead of changing the colors because maybe they like it, and maybe they feel like those colors really represent them, we just adjust the proportions of the colors, the contrast, and how we use them. And usually it's just a slight adjustment, and and that's it. That's often.
In that, yeah. So do you still use, how we talked about what blue represents and stuff? Are you still bringing some of that into what you like, the colors that might be enhanced if someone's changing, like maybe if they have blue and they don't want to be as calm, or they want to be more, I guess, out there, more aggressive. Would you like tone down that and then bring up another color or something?
Yes. So I would change slightly the color based on, again, it's more about the sensations and the feelings.
Yeah.
So the meaning is also there, but it's secondary, because it's really about the feelings. So for example, if I feel like you're a very bright and, dynamic person, and we choose this color indigo and it's a bit too dark, and now, like, once I have the color palette, the complete color palette, and I put them together, maybe at the beginning I felt that the indigo was perfect, but then once I put them together, I'll be like, okay, this is a bit too dark. It doesn't really convey, your energy. So I'm just going to go a bit less dark, or I'm maybe going to change another color so it doesn't feel that dark. So I'm just going to, so just a slight adjustment to make sure that it's really convey that sensation. But again, it's a holistic thing. It's not just one color. It comes together when you put all the pieces together. So it's a bit complex to explain. So yeah.
I love that. So are you able to do this with clients that aren't local, or you can do it online and stuff? It's just,
I mostly work online. So yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. All right. Yeah. So what about, where's the photography come in? Is that more local for you, where you actually going on shoots with people? Yeah.
Yeah. So mostly the branding is online. So most of my clients are, everywhere in the world. I'm moving more towards doing in-person experiences, and I would like to be able to travel more to places and be there especially when it comes to events and physical places, because when they apply the color, it's better to be there and see the space because it's a bit more complex. But in general, like the whole branding can be done online. And for the photography is more local. So I'm more here unless someone wants me to go, wherever they are. Right. But mostly the photo for now, it's here because I was growing my photography business. And then with the pandemic, I slowed down and I focused more on the online part of my business. And only now in the last year, I'm going slowly back to focus more on the photography. So I kind of left it aside a bit. So
yeah, nice.
Still just local.
So I'm seeing how sometimes I'll hold retreats for women and how beneficial it would be to have you come in and, if it's a retreat for, women connecting back to their, sensuality and stuff. So, using a whole color palette just to basically immerse the participants in that energy. Even they just step into it, like they're automatically right in it without even having to do anything right away.
Yeah. The thing about colors, which is something I'm very much into, energetics and spiritual and healing and all of this. So what really called me into color when I started many years ago, I feel very old when I think about it. It's like, but it's really the healing power that they have. So they're really, really healing. They also discovered, because there is also a lot of scientific research in the last, few decades. So we know that also at a neuroscientific level, like the brain is really having reactions and all. And they're, for example, hospitals now also hiring more color consultants and paying more attention to colors, because they've discovered that people can heal faster when they have certain colors around. Also neurodivergency, like something that I see, especially now that we are doing more and more in-person events, the trade shows and all of this, and people are paying attention to neurodivergent people. So for example, they're creating spaces where the sensorial stimuli is a bit lower because otherwise we get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But then the colors don't get along. So even if the sound is very low, the colors are high pitched. So it's very overwhelming, and the lighting. So it's really a lot of things that we don't think about, obviously, because it's, it's part of the subconscious communication. But with colors, we can really heal people through. They have such a wonderful power, and it's also why they're used for this, kind of healings and stuff. And they're very, very. That's why, even for your brand, if you can, just the presence of you with certain colors can really have a very deep effect on people when they're around you, when they see your web page. Just these small things can have a huge impact. And so that's why I'm we can change the world just with colors. So,
absolutely can. Yeah. And it's curious to me because, I think there's a lot more emphasis on sound healing, right? There's in the crystal bowls and all the, different healings you can do with the sound, but it's also, that's a sense we have is hearing. Yeah. But what about our vision, right? Are using colors for those, healing, because as much as the sound is giving out a vibration, which is an energy, so are colors giving out this energy, this vibration, right?
It's the same, because when you think about it, colors is just light traveling.
Yeah.
And it's just entering our body. So we don't perceive color just visually. And also the vision for us is almost 80% of our orientation in the world. So it's the most powerful senses that we have. But also we perceive colors through the skin because it's light. So it has a huge power. And also the sound is very powerful. It has a very, we heal with sound, as you said. We pay more attention to loud music, and we are in certain settings to not overwhelm people. So we are using sound more and more to heal without really thinking that if you could add the colors to it, for example, imagine how much more powerful that would be, how immersive and how healing. And that's what I'm trying to do with my work, really making people aware of how integrating the senses in a more cohesive way can have a much, much bigger power in healing people, convey certain messages, making people feel certain ways and interact, because we can change behaviors, we can change thoughts, we can change everything just with colors. It's crazy.
Now, do you have this wisdom and understanding from just this gift of that you had, or have you have you done more research to get more knowledge and understanding of how this is?
Yeah, no, I've been into all of these things, let's say,
Yeah.
at the past almost 20 years. I really got into the subconscious, exploring dream psychology and all of this, stuff. That was my first thesis when I was in high school. So it was like,
Oh, wow.
the professor were like, oh, okay, the thesis, you present whatever you want. And I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about dream psychology and subconscious and how we represent that in art. And they were like, surprised. It was like, okay. And then I got into fine arts, and that was really my own personal expression, because it was, really healing myself through art, because art is this wonderful healing teacher. And that's when I really got into colors. And then that's when I went into neuroaesthetic, which is a branch of neuroscience that really study how we perceive art's visual and colors, and really how it impacts the brain. And then again, it was a thesis in fine arts, and my professor was like, okay, this is very scientific. And I was like, yes, but I love it.
Yes.
And so I really got into all these things, the subconscious, the neuroscience. I was very, very passionate for many, many years. And then in the last few years, I opened up, let's say, my spiritual side. I really started my inner journey a few years ago after a big depression. And that's really when I realized that there was so much more to it, because I started, I'm certified colors consultant. So I studied the whole science, the whole things. Then on my personal journey for many, many years, I also explored the healing power of all of this. And also I got a bit into art therapy, which is, still related.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research that's being done. We don't know as much yet, but yeah, there's so much to discover, but there's also so much to learn. So it's a lot of things for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all that. It seems like your work is actually the scientific discovery. Every time you work with somebody, it's an experiment of how this, putting it together and how it comes up. It's just another proof of why this works and how it works. And, it's just for you to being out there doing this, it doesn't now have to be recorded in a book. You see what it is. You see the healing that comes from it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, because it's something that is so deeply related to the subconscious. You can't really, it's rationally, you can't really explain it. You can't really put it all together. It's hard to really get it in the, because there is the scientific part of it, but there's a lot more. Like we can't, like for me, it doesn't exist a word where it's just about thinking and rational mind. The subconscious there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of perception. Like we can really feel things, even if there's nothing happening. It's just the energy that we perceive. And there's so much power in that. So we can't pretend that it doesn't exist, right? It's just, and it's being proven too, like quantum physics and all of that. So it's like,
yes, exactly.
We can't really explain it yet, but it's there, and we know that it's there. So it's always a challenge, but it's that's probably why I love it, because it's always, mysterious, and it's always an experiment, and it's always something new and different. So yeah.
Would you like to talk about the neurodivergent for a little bit? Because I'm curious. I think it was a couple of years ago. I was reading a book about neurodivergency, and I'm like, I think this is me, right? I think this is explaining a lot about how I perceive and feel the world, right? And so what was coming, and as we were speaking here, and you had mentioned of feeling that way too, and how colors and sound and places are actually trying to make it a little bit easier for neurodivergent people to, come into these places of a lot of sound and color and a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. Do you feel it is because, it's not like people just became neurodivergent, right? It's like there's been people who have been very sensitive all along, but do you think it's more and more now because we are being more aware of energy in our world? Before it seemed like it was just kind of a small group of people, or it wasn't really talked about. But like you mentioned, the quantum physics, science when they mentioned it, it's almost become like, oh, maybe that's a real thing. So, I see like people coming out of the cupboard like, oh yeah, that is real because, that's me. And like, understanding that, maybe we are starting to or feel the energy more in our bodies, or allowing ourselves to, maybe.
I think I honest, I don't know. Obviously, it's like my own opinion is not that we're discovering. I think we are rediscovering, because I think
Mm,
we always had a very strong connection to our intuition, our feelings. We had a lot of connection with nature, and I think that was the way we always been for millenniums, right? And then at some point we decided that we needed to be rational. We needed to be very structured, especially with the economy growing. And then we got people to work 9 to 5. And so and then the office jobs and all of that. So we really kind of detached from who we truly are and how we feel. So I think this
yeah.
whole movement into feel more connected to the energy and our own bodies. It's more like we are just in need of going back to these origins of really being who we are as humans, because we decided at some point that humans are not animals, are not connected to the world. We're just a different thing somewhere. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense, right? We are just
Right.
part of the whole, like everything is part of
Hmm.
us. And so I think it's really, we are just rediscovering who we truly are and what really is meaningful to us. And I think this neurodivergent movement, it's part of it. And also because I think we never really realized it, because we never lived in such a busy world. So
Yeah.
now everything is just so overwhelming. The consumerism is crazy. We buy so many stuff. Like we never lived a life like we're living in the past 20 years. It didn't exist before. It was like
Right.
not even a thing.
Hmm.
So I think we just got so overwhelmed, and the lifestyle that we created, we just so go, go, go. But we always been connected to the seasons. So there was winter time where we didn't work as much, or we were doing different things because we couldn't go in the fields, we couldn't do certain things, and didn't go to work during winter time. You wouldn't do it. They would wait for spring.
Right.
So nothing was happening in winter, like until a few centuries ago. Now it's just 24/7. Like we always
Yeah.
go, always working, always. And I think we cracking down, like we humans, we're not machines. And so I think
Hmm.
there is this whole rediscovering, and I think it's part of this, movement of we're actually humans. And there is my cat.
Oh, there she is, or he. Yeah. I I love your words, Meg. Those just spot on, and I definitely resonate with all that you said there, and feel that also is. I see that I work with women more, connecting back into their feminine energy and their bodies, and I see sometimes they're like they're one end of the spectrum, and then they go way over here. So then they're like almost way too feminine, right? So then we have to come back into a balance. And I see, what you're talking about is like humanity. We went from, being more connected and intuitive with nature and the cycles. And then we went totally over to this other, end of, industrialization and, like you mentioned, the 9 to 5 and having, all these rules and, shoulds and, schools and all this things, the path to follow in your life. And it's like, and the technology that's all coming in. And I think we need to come back into, a balance, really back into a center of, I think we can incorporate some of that, like that technology stuff, that's more useful, but not get caught up in like the consumerism, materialism, the always doing and just never just being at all anymore.
It's all that hustle, doing, pushing, and going instead of just being, as you said. So
Yeah.
my cat has decided that she's gonna come on, so I'm just gonna
Aw.
calm her down. Yeah, because she comes and she started like chewing on everything. And but yeah, as you said, it's great that you mentioned that, because for example, I work with archetypes because it's really like the depth of the psyche and how it expresses. So it's really for the brand is what we're conveying, right? But it's really about finding that balance between one side of things and the other side. Is like the psyche is always trying to balance between these primordial needs: belonging, so being part of a community, because otherwise you're gonna die because you get killed, right? That's the primordial need.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side is also individuation, so being yourself and finding your own voice, and detaching from the group to be your own self. And we find this balance, and sometimes we get out of balance, so we are too much into the community and we forget who we are, and we don't follow our own dreams and path, and because we try to fit in. And on the other side, sometimes we fall on the other side. We're just too separate from everything. We're not part of a community. We're just trying to be, separate, and we just get, our own voice and we detach from the words.
Right.
And I think it's the same with, this feminine and masculine. And I think it's life is just this process of discovering who we truly are and reconnecting to who we're meant to be and, the mission that we have in this life. And so we do it every life that we have. We don't really know if we have many, but potentially. But also we do it as society, right? In the bigger sense of humans. So it's a whole process. And as you said, it's finding that balance. So
Yes, yes, yeah. I think that's probably the mission of this human school is finding the balance between.
Probably, yeah. I think the last few years I decided that the only purpose of humans is to learn how to be patient. I think that's the only purpose why we're alive. Because that's the main challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if I'm thinking about it, I mean, I'm wondering if we lost patience, because I would assume we must have had patience centuries ago. Just like you mentioned, it's like because we were more connected, like we weren't sitting around, we knew that in the winter nothing grows, or, so we weren't like, when's that corn gonna come up? Like getting all anxious that it hasn't happened yet. We had this understanding. So maybe it was just innately in us, that this patience. But now, because as you mentioned, we mentioned before, like everything is go, go, go 24 hours a day, and we have Amazon that, you order something and it comes the next day. Like, what the heck? Like, I still even know how that even happens. But yeah, so it's just, we don't have it's patience anymore, which is sad, because then that keeps us in that doing mode. We just can't be, because we don't have the patience just to be. We have to always be stimulated somehow.
That's 100% true. Like, I believe that's the main problem, mostly because I think it's mostly because of the machines, computers and everything, because they're much faster than us, right? If you go with ChatGPT, people are writing books in 3 hours, which is great. But at the same time, we get so used to everything so fast. As you said, Amazon, tomorrow you have it. Everything is just so fast. So we have the same expectations for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll open a business today. Why I'm not super rich millionaire in 2 days? Like, it drives me insane when I see these kind of things, because it's a process, it's a journey. Your inner healing is a journey. Your own life is a journey. Before, we were used to, it would take months to go from point A to point B with your horse. You would have to walk. You would have to, it would take days, and it was just normal. People didn't even think about when will I be there. It didn't matter. It was just, I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna arrive when I arrive, right? And I didn't really think about it. And today is like, if you don't reply to my message within 30 seconds, it's all this anxiety, and so we don't have patience for anything, for ourselves and for the people around us, and it's crazy. And I think that's all connected with the seasons and how we live and everything else. So yeah, that's it. I think it doesn't help with people who are neurodivergent, because we already probably faster or think faster, or we want to try to do more things at the same time. And before, maybe they were doing 2 or 3 things at the same time. Now we are trying to do 3,000, because we have the computer and the phone and the work and
yeah, it's a lot. It definitely is a lot. Wow. Yeah, I mean, my understanding of like even the feminine brain too is we are more able to be more multitasking, but there's certain point where it gets too overwhelming. Like back in the day when we were the gatherers, we had to know, where the good berries were, where the bad ones were, and, a couple of other things, where, what drinking water, like it wasn't a lot to know, but we had to know that because that was protecting our village, our tribe, and the men went out and they hunted and did that stuff, where they were more focused. We had to take care of the children and all that. So having to be a little bit more multitasking, but like you said, now it's just too much. And I'm in it too. I mean, I'm on the computer. I got my phone here. Sometimes my computer's doing something. I'm looking on, my phone. It's like, and then I'm like, why do I have a headache? Why does my body hurt? It's like, all right, time to step away from this craziness right now. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And it's also like, we used to do different things, but it was slower, right? Because also it's apparently, I'm just sharing something that I recently found out. But apparently we were hunters, and apparently the best hunters were the grandmas. because they had a lot of experience.
Oh,
And it seems
interesting.
that this change in history was a misinterpretation from the scientists and archaeologists when they found tools with women body. They thought it would be, oh, surely something for the kitchen or whatever. But apparently we were also hunters. So there was this
Ah,
misconceptions and misinterpretation, which is funny they mentioned that because it's something I've just learned. But even then, we were like, when we were hunting, we were just hunting. We were just running after, the meat.
right.
The running meat. And now we don't have to run, but still we have so many choices per market you have to choose. And now you just have one focus, just that one piece of meat, and you just run after it, and then you will go home. And then we didn't have all of these distractions all the time. I think the distractions is really the culprit of this, society going a bit, a bit crazy.
Right. Yes. Yes. Too many choices. And then, too many shiny objects on the way home from doing something like, oh, maybe I'll stop in here. Or maybe I'll go there. Yeah. It's something.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
Yes. So, just time left. I'm actually curious because I'm always wanting to bring in more things to my own personal rituals and journeys and things like that. So what are a couple things that you are doing for yourself now to shut away all that the noise and all that and really come back to your center and being?
So I've somehow stepped away from social media, first of all, because as a neurodivergent, it can be very, very noisy and very overwhelming. And I realized that it really puts me in a terrible mood. I just feel so, lost. So I'm really stepping away from it. And I don't have any notification on my phone except for messages. So I don't have anything that distracts me. I just check my phone around. I put a minimalist kind of phone. So there's no icons, there's no colors, it's just black and white. And since I've moved that, it really, really helps me. And it seems probably small things, but we are so much on our phone and the distraction that we have in our phone, how much we use it. It has made such a huge difference in my life in the past month. And that's why I'm mentioning it, because it's really changed. I feel way more patient, way more present, because I don't have all of this noise every time I look at it. I don't take it and try to do something with it because I don't have anything to do. There's no colors, there's no distractions. That's how much powerful colors are as well. They can be very distracting. And apart from that, I really try to take the time to do things. And even if I feel like, I just want to get it done, and sometimes it's frustrating because you're just trying to get to the end of something, I really kind of breathe and say, okay, I'm just gonna be present and just do the thing, and it doesn't matter how long it's gonna take. I'm not looking at the end, I'm just looking at where I'm now. And it really has helped me do things without that stress, that frustration, that nervousness, and it's been helpful, very helpful. That's the processes that I've implemented.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that was very, very important. Staying away. Yeah, that phone for me, I would just love to go back to a flip phone.
No more phones.
No more phones. Yeah, I know. And everything is on this thing. Like even my music, before my music used to be on like a little pod or something, which was totally, it was just for music and stuff. And then I don't know, couldn't figure out how to download music anymore. That became an issue. So it's just, it's amazing. Yeah. Thank you for the reminder of just being here in the now and not looking at the destination. Right. It's the journey. And if whatever, I loved how you mentioned, back in the day, how we might have been like, we know where we want to go, but we don't know when we're going to get there because things might pop up, but we have this, we know we'll get there eventually. That's where we want to go. And because everybody is on their own, timeline about things, whether it's, like you said, starting a business or their own inner journey or their healing. Like it's all individualistic. And when we compare ourselves to others and, think we should be somewhere where we should be there by now, we minimalize, I believe, our own experience and journey that's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think being so active online, it has great, as you said at the beginning, it's amazing because you can connect with people anywhere in the world. So it has great advantages. But on the other side, you're always comparing yourself to people from all over the world, because before we didn't have social media, so you just were in your small village with the few people that you knew, so you didn't really have all of that noise around you. So I think we just need to find that balance, as you said at the beginning, that harmony between that busy world that allows us so many opportunities because we can work online, we can, we can have so much more freedom and flexibility, but also being careful not to fall into certain patterns that might be too noisy and overwhelming. So I
Yeah,
think really
exactly.
finding that, that balance, that in between, that allows you to be patient with, even if everything is faster, but we have to accept that other things take a lot longer, and it's okay. And as you were talking, it made me remind of when I was a very young girl, well, teenager, when you're like between 9 and 15 or something, I had a pen pal. So we were writing letters to each other. It was a girl from Germany. And it made me think how now we have this communication that's just so quick and fast, and we're just on social media and we just expect the likes within seconds. And back then I would just write my letter and send it. And I didn't know when she would reply. Like sometimes it would be months, sometimes it would be weeks, sometimes I would be like, oh, she never replied, she forgot about me. And then poof, a letter, right? And it was such a beautiful ritual, if you want. It was a bit scattered because it wasn't regular, but it was such a, like this small surprise of receiving something and you don't know when. And I think we lost that. We lost that way of pleasuring ourselves through these small surprises because we just want everything right now. And when you just accept and just, okay, I'm just going to be in the journey. The destination doesn't have to arrive ever. It doesn't matter. And then you get small surprises on the way. So it's
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That is so true, right? Yeah. Letter writing and just, yeah, right. And letters and yeah. And just, I think I did have a pen pal myself. And I used to even write when I was younger. My grandparents they'd go down Florida in the wintertime. So I would write them letters, and it was just, nice. Cause then they would write one back, and it's just something to look forward to.
And it was beautiful. Like you would have these postcards and you didn't know you were going to have them. And it's just a friend or someone's like, oh, this is so cute. Oh, we don't do it anymore, which is a shame.
Yeah. We should bring that back. Yeah. Instead of like posting everything on social media, you could send your close friends a postcard. But you'd have to know their address, and you probably don't know people's addresses or phone numbers anymore.
Yeah, that's, but you can ask that. That's fine.
Exactly. Well, I know we talked about a lot of interesting things, but I'm going to pick from my list of just kind of silly questions. There was one I saw. All right. So this has to do with colors. So how do you think soap bubbles get their colors?
Soap bubbles. So, well, the scientific answer, I'm not going to go with the scientific answers because it's basically the refraction of light. It's like the rainbow, right? It's the same concept, the water and the light. So I think that's, I don't know exactly how, but I think it's the same type of concept.
Oh, okay.
But it's a bit different. So I don't know the details, but I like to think there's just, I don't know, maybe the personality of the bubble, and they have these slightly different colors depending on the bubble sometimes. And I love bubbles. Yeah, I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, no, that seems like a reasonable explanation. And I know this question said soap, but I've seen, like, every morning I'll have ceremonial cacao with my meditation, and occasionally I'll get bubbles on there. I mean, there's not soap in there, but I will have bubbles that have the rainbow, in them. So I think I believe what you said is correct, because the light is hitting that little bubble of water that has come up. Oh.
Yeah. It's just refraction of light, and so all the waves are reflected, and we have these beautiful colors.
Wonderful. So where can people find you, work with you, get more information?
I have a website, www.megrouge.com, and so it's just my name. I am on social media, like especially on LinkedIn, although I'm not very active. So I do publish some articles. So if someone is interested in learning a bit more about, the colors and stuff, I'm on LinkedIn with, my name. I'm about to publish my first book.
Yay!
So that's probably going to be available on Amazon. I'm trying to see if I can print it and make it, more official. But that's going to be available there too. But yeah, mostly I'm on Facebook as well. I'm very active lately, but as I said, I'm trying to not be too much on social media. So
love it. Well, thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed this talk. I have been fascinated and inspired, and all the good juju, that's for sure. So it's been I'm very, very grateful that you've come into my life, that I've gotten to have this connection with you. I know that there's someone like you out there and making this world a better place and just sharing your beautiful gifts and your light. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for your time and your space and for doing what you do as well, because it's very, very beautiful that we make the world happier somehow. So thank you very much.
No, oh, thank you. All right. Take care.